Hi, everybody. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Window Seat. Uh, And hi, Santosh sir. Nice to see you.
Oh,
and
Santosh, hi.
the very nature of Window Seat is this: it is a free flow. Like we said, it's not a GAN session. And the way we conceptualize Window Seat is all about getting a glimpse of the leader through how we see through a window seat. So, I basically encourage people to just stay put, and we will travel along with Sabih through the journey and what he wants to share with us. Basically, it's a free flow conversation. So, welcome, Sabih. And we all know Sabih is the director of learning solutions at Schneider. And that is the role, one of the role he's playing in his life, as you. And today's window seat may give us an opportunity to see Sabih beyond what we see on LinkedIn as a role, right? So, welcome, Sabih, for this window seat. And it's a great honor to host you and eager to listen. So today Aparna was saying that she get a chance to listen to me. I said no. Today we will get a chance to listen Sabhi more. I will not do much of the talking because that is where the entire thing is. And so Sabhi, just to mention, about poetry, your love for poetry. Uh, Let us start from there. That is an area which I was also wondering where should I start this conversation. I just thought that what makes you inclined to poetry and read and any few lines which are very close to you, some.
Well, thank you. Thank you. It's a privilege to be here uh, on the window seat to share with you what I do and how I think, but also hear from all of you and learn from all of you. Here, I admire what Santosh is doing and the kind of work that he does and what he brings. So so yeah, and on poetry, I just love reading poetry, philosophy, science. And then what I enjoy the most is when it all connects, when the dot connects from one field which seemingly is very different and very away from the other side of it, and yet we see very interesting correlation. So that's what I enjoy the most. And uh, I mean, I just mentioned poetry just a minute before, and you caught me there. So now I'll try and bring something that I was reciting very recently in a forum where I was addressing young students, um, and and what I wanted to share with them was that they don't have to follow us. You don't have to follow me. You don't have to do what I do, but you have to create your own world, your own ways. And I was quoting a poet, a very contemporary poet. This is Urdu poetry. I'll explain some of the words uh, that are relatively a little difficult. But the poet called it his will, wasiyat. Wasiyat is will, and this is how he wrote that wasiyat. मेरे बच्चों मेरी उंगली न पकड़ो, मेरी ऐनक से दुनिया को न देखो, मेरे रस्तों से रास्ते मत निकालो, मेरे नक्शे कदम पर खाक डालो. So what he's trying to say is that don't look at the world the way I look at it. Don't follow what I have done before. And then he says that मोहब्बत की नई मोहब्बत की नई तफसीर लिखो, बुलंदी की नई ताबीर लिखो, मैं चाहता हूं कि तुम ये कर दिखाओ, चलो रफ्तार अपनी कुछ बढ़ाओ, पिछड़ने का बहाना चाहता हूं, इसी में जीत पोशीदा है मेरी, मैं तुमसे हार जाना चाहता हूं, मैं तुमसे हार जाना चाहता हूं. And what poet is saying is, I mean, the scene is that he's talking to his sons and children and saying that don't follow what I have done, don't do what I have done, don't look at the world the way I have looked at it. I want you to write new description of love, and I want you to write uh, define the success in your own ways. And my success lies in the fact that you defeat me and you go beyond what I have thought and done in my life. So that's what the will is, and that's what I want to share with youngsters, with my children, and with all youngsters who are around. That you don't have to follow us. Our world was different. What we've done was in our context. You have a very different world, a much bigger, brighter. Create your own world. Go and do much more, and we will be more happy if you do that.
Thank you. Thank you, Sabih. Thank you. In this world where many people say to follow some benchmarks and best practices, this is something a breath of fresh air. Because, right? So when are you saying that about that poem about success? So let me start from so when I look at you as a person, what according to you is success? Your definition of success. Because you have seen your life in various phases, but what is your definition of success?
Well, see, and by the way, our own definitions changed over years. So when I started my career, success was finding that corner office and a Mercedes Benz and and all that. That's what was the way we were defining success, and for many years, that's what I was running for and striving for. But as you experience and as you grow in many ways, you realize that there's a lot more to success. Success is much beyond. It is much bigger than these milestones. This could and not to discourage, not to say that this is not success. This is of course one of the elements of it. But success is beyond. What do you leave with others? How do you leave others, in the sense that when I met Shijin, and after he met me, what did I leave him with? What values, what differentiation did I create for those who are around me, for the society at large, for people who worked with me, with my teams, my people, most around. In fact, and to a great extent, what do I do with myself? My own temptations, my own desires, my own limitations, my own fears. So that's also something, as we grow, as we realize, sometimes the success actually shrinks to this, that how well do I know myself, and how well am I able to maneuver through the world and the temptations around. That's success.
You mentioned that success has undergone a definition change as we travel in our life, right? So when I'm looking at you and when you are looking at your life, would you able to share that what were those experiences where you really reflected on the meaning of success? Where is there any crucible experiences where you felt that, oh, success till yesterday for me was XYZ, but when from this, the definition has changed and eventually again changed, something like that.
Multiple of those. One very interesting experience. I was talking to someone, and I mentioned that it was happening long back. Before we won some highlights in the evening or in the news, we would see some clips of the match. And I was very young, but this has a huge impact on my ways of being and on my thinking about he was one of the fastest bowlers in that match. It was a test match, and Syed Kirmani was our Indian wicketkeeper and batsman, and he was playing against him. We had a few wickets fallen, and West Indies was playing. They were obviously very good. They were so there was, unlike the current times when we are the best in cricket, we were kind of nowhere, and West Indies was very good. So Malcolm Marshall was bowling. He bowled, and Syed Kirmani hit the ball and started to run between the wickets. Running between the wickets, he fell down. And again, those days all the equipments were also not that great, so he had his pad stuck in his shoe or something, and he fell down between the wickets, running between the wickets. Now Malcolm Marshall, in the meantime, had got the ball in his hand, and instead of throwing the ball on the wicket, he actually threw the ball in the air and smiled. And I saw just that clip in the highlight, and I was so taken aback that why did he not hit the ball on the wicket? And it kept me, and I can tell you, I still remember it so vividly. This must be 35 years back that I'm talking about, and 30 years, yeah. So and he was still so this is very vivid in my memory that he didn't hit the ball on the wicket, and it took me a few days and maybe longer to really understand the essence of it. But after a few days, I could get some sense of it. And the fact was that this is the and I read, after that I read in the newspaper and all that. So that's how I made sense of it. But the real understanding took a few years to come, and the understanding was that he wanted to win the game on his merit, and not because someone has faltered, someone has fallen, someone by mistake did something, and he takes his advantage of that and then wins the game. So winning and success is not everything. It is the spirit of the game. It is the way you look at it. That is what is more important, and that is the real success. He was a lot more successful then, and then I noticed it in multiple things. Indian players, Sunil Gavaskar would do it. There would be a snake, and he would get caught. Even if there's no appeal, he would walk off. Kapil Dev would ball, and if the non-striking batsman had left the crease, he won't hit the ball, but he'll just warn them that I can hit it on the wicket, but he won't hit it. This is the sportsman's spirit. This is the spirit that I want to succeed on my merit, and not just because someone has fallen, someone has made a mistake, someone missed a chance, and I kind of may take advantage of that. That's not what success is, and that's not the success that I would want. And it is so deeply ingrained in my ways of thinking and being since then. I don't want to succeed because someone else missed something, someone made a mistake. I want to succeed on merit, and I want to prepare for that. I want to fight for it, and I'm okay if I lose once, twice, thrice. But I just don't want to take advantage of someone else's weakness and win, and then feel proud about the fact that, oh, I've taken that wicket.
So a very interesting point you said, success and winning. When I connect both in today's world, I'm not any statement generalization is incorrect, but sake of it, I'm just for a discussion. When winning is everything, today this particular philosophy which you said, for me, success is not just I just win that way. There is a particular way it has to be on merit. So how has that played a role in your development as a professional, as a leader?
Yeah, and so precisely, I mean, the way I was explaining it, there were multiple opportunities and occasions where winning was, and we could win by doing something which may not be as, which may not be. I don't know. There are things which are like on the borderline, like this case, that the example that I gave you of the match. It's like on a borderline. I mean, no one would have criticized if he had hit the ball on the wicket. No one would have criticized that. So similarly, there have been multiple occasions in my career where there were opportunities where I could have done things which would make me succeed, but I didn't want to make those compromises to my values, and this value of winning on the merit, and I let it go. I let go those opportunities, whether those were opportunities of getting a particular recognition for something, or they were opportunities of actually getting roles or positions. But I didn't compromise on that, and I didn't let that come in the way of let the winning come in the way of the larger definition of success for me.
So when you just spoke about your values, that is not again. So what are those values which you really hold close to yourself? It gives meaning to who you are as a person, according to you.
Sure. I mean, of course, some very fundamental of being truthful and honest and authentic. But one interesting value that I really practice and enjoy, and I know that many a times, and it was not as consciously and as vociferously promoted as a leadership trait, is humility. Being humble in whatever you do, in whatever you think, in wherever you are, I believe is a leadership trait, and it's a very strong value that is ingrained in my ways of doing, and I've learned it from my elders, my seniors, my people that I see around. But it's a very important value. It to me, and humility, there are manifestations of it. There are manifestations of humility. So one is just being humble, but the other is that being intellectually humble is and as we grow, as we learn, as we read, as we succeed, it increasingly becomes difficult, because then there are all the reasons for us to believe or to reinforce this thinking that I know it all, and I know it better. So how do we keep reminding ourselves? This gives room for curiosity. This gives rooms for delegation. This empowerment. So all that we talk about leadership actually emanates from being humble.
So you used a very interesting term, intellectually humble. So yeah. So I'm curious about it actually. Can you elaborate a little more on it in your context of work also, how it is, what it is? Because
yeah, sure. So I don't know if it's the right word or this, but this is how I feel about it.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, that is how you see it, right? Yeah.
Humble means that intellectual humility, as I call it, is an important leadership trait, and the reason I call it like that is that we need to be open to new ideas, and as the world evolves, and it has always evolved, by the way, but with the kind of acceleration, exponential acceleration of the evolution of things around us that is happening, it becomes even more important and critical for leaders to be intellectually humble, because what I know is about my own space. My own space is not sacrosanct anymore. The boundaries have blurred. There are a lot of other influences that happen, whether it's Gen AI, whether it's psychology, whether the influence of economy on psychology. I'm learning it from my son now, and so all this, I have to be open to be able to absorb and make sense and connect those dots. If you recollect, I said what I enjoy the most is that connect that I make of seemingly unconnected things, but that can happen only if I'm open to. If I believe that I'm a management human resource specialist, 30 years in this space, excelled done all that that can be done in this space, my learning would stop, my growth would stop, my relevance would go down. I'm only relevant till the time that I am intellectually humble and open, and keeping those windows open to get new ideas, to get new concepts, to come in and interact with my ideas, my philosophies, my beliefs many times.
What are those beliefs you hold very close to yourself then when you're coming? What are those beliefs about leadership, about life, which you hold really close? You said that, yeah, this is how it is, man, for me.
Yeah. So, no, again, thankfully, and again, very counterintuitively, all that has evolved. So there's nothing that has been fixed. There are some fundamentals, some values that we talked about. So values have been there and continue to be there, very relevant. But what I thought was very important is not that important. Has changed its significance in our ways of doing, being successful. So some of it, but yeah, certain things that I really think, and some beliefs that, for example, some beliefs were that human beings continue to be the ultimate creation of God. I don't know if it is getting challenged. It is getting challenged a lot with what is happening around, and how we as human beings are doing our things, and are choosing our leaders, and are making decisions for ourselves and for others. Those things are evolving, those things are changing, and I'm realizing that what are the other influences that impact these beliefs, these thinkings. How does it get swayed? How am I as an individual different from I as a community, as part of a community? How am I different as being a leader, and how am I different as an individual? All those differences and conflicts actually are interesting to observe, and to really reflect for myself and for others, as and when I get those opportunities.
Yeah, I wanted to check with you and say that you have this advantage of being in one organization for pretty long time in today's standards.
Yeah.
And you grew up there, and also you have done both learning OD and general HR, because you are the head of HR for Rockwell Automation that way. So it'll be very interesting to know your perspective of purely, because most of the people who would have joined here from my learning and OD backgrounds. How has it evolved from your, because there is technology came in, there is e-learning came in, we talk more about LMS systems than building capabilities. So discussions around which tools to use and which technology
which app to use. Yeah.
And being also in a European organization like Schneider, which emphasize a lot on deeper work. So it'll be very interesting, some of the brilliant stuff that you do in that area and how it has evolved for everybody who is here. Cheers.
Sure. Thanks. I think, of course, there are definitely advantages of continuing at a place, and continue to see the place evolve, yourself evolve, because you see what you did and how did that impact, and what how did that influence the organization at large, and the outcomes that you wanted to bring. Did we really get it? Did we not get it? All that, and it all happens. I mean, there are things that we did, and it didn't get us what we were looking for, and then there were certain things that really got us what we were looking for. So those kind of things. But the influence of technology did bring in a new fervor to human resources management, and there has been and I think the power of it is the coming together of the two. So how do we really now look at human resources management more in conjunction, in tandem with the technology that we use, with the data that we have access to, and a lot of work that we are able to do because of those technologies and apps and things that we have. But fundamentally, I think the core of it still remains very human, and this is what gives me a lot of satisfaction, and this is also gives me the confidence that we will continue to be relevant for some more time because with all that is happening around, future is still very human. We still believe that the organization would need to understand human behavior to be able to succeed and achieve what we want to achieve, and to the extent that we want to achieve. So with all this that we are adopting, with the technology adoption, and we've seen it all happening a lot last couple of years with the Gen AI coming in, a lot of debates, which by the way I've seen for a few times, a few cycles of such debate, that will we continue to be relevant, and will human skills be still as important in the organization and in the future and all that. And to be very happy with it, that I really feel that yes, we've continued to be relevant, and I think, at least as far as I can see forward, there'll still be a lot of it has to do with how do we think as humans, how do we our own limitations as human beings, and our own potential and capabilities as human beings will stay relevant. I was reading a very interesting article. Now that you mentioned it, it came to my mind. In fact, it was a blog written by someone based on a video that they were showing, where they had bots that were smart bots. They were able to go and shoot very precisely anyone or anything that they want to. And the debate was that now so why do we need armies, and they will go and make they will be able to go and fight wars for us. And some were saying, yeah, but will it be right to let them decide? And there was someone telling them, no, they will not decide, we will decide who should they go and kill, and how would they identify and kill, etc., etc. A lot of back and forth was happening there. And what amused me was the fact that with all the technology, with all the Gen AI, with all the precision, we are still thinking of fighting wars and killing each other. And that's where I said, I think what at the end of the day, what is impacting is the human mind and our ability to think of technology or goodness for the world. So it will have to go back to humans, and it will it'll hinge. The future still hinges on human mind and its limitations and possibilities.
Yeah, I have a follow-up question. When we talked about being in one place for longer.
Yeah, sorry, I got distracted.
No, I found that happening more in European organizations than in American organizations. I also find that happening more on manufacturing sector, regardless of which part they come from, right? But barring that manufacturing, for example, there could be an FMCG which is originally from Europe. There could be an FMCG that's from US. I don't see people staying that long culturally. So I'm sure you worked previously in the US and now this is a European multinational. What's making people stay? Is it a European kind of a culture? Are you doing something specifically, or why do people stay more?
See, a couple of things. One thing, I think there is definitely an element of culture in this retention that we see in organizations, uh, uh, whether American or European. In this case, yeah, I happen to be in a European organization, and for us, culture is a big piece. The focus that we give on the values of the organization, and we've defined it our way. I mean, uh, values are uh, and over years these values have evolved. Our current values are learning, constantly learning, inclusion, uh, collaborating, co-creation together. So there's a lot of those elements that create room for people to constantly invest and build relationships with the organization, with the people that we work with. And I think that is the reason for retention. And lot of again, I don't want to call it American or IT in particular, but in many organizations there is not enough room for that relationship, that connect that happens. Work is actually getting too transactional, and this is something that I was even with HR, I have seen it over years. Is that when I started my career from a very hardcore manufacturing kind of setup, and I was kind of a rebel and would question a lot, so I was deputed in a time office. I don't know if many people here on the call would know what a time office is. Time office in a factory, manufacturing kind of a setup, is a place where all records were kept, and where the attendance and other the employee files, etc., those years were managed. So in the time office, but the HR manager there and the people in the time office, they took a lot of pride in the fact, and in fact, I used to play this game with one of the young managers that we had there in that time office, was that I would give him name of a person. I would, because of my work in a junior HR management training, I would roam around in the factory, in the offices and around, and I'll get to interact with people. So I would come back to the time office and give them a name, Mr. So-and-so, Miss So-and-so. And the guy, the manager there, will be able to tell me everything, including their ESI numbers and PF numbers. So they had such a strong relationship with the whole setup. They knew exactly this person joined so and so, this person met an accident, had a claim, was promoted, was transferred to this role, was brought back to this role. The whole history of the individual they would know by just the name. And I played it multiple times, and the guy was 100% right every time. And but the point that I wanted to make was that, and those days I had no clue. I was just trying to test and challenge them. But the point is that this is the kind of relationship that they had with the organization. They knew exactly this guy had a child, his child met an accident, he had a claim, he was a. So now, someone in HR, when they would make decisions about individual, when they would talk to the individual, when the individual would talk to them, they will relate to each other. They would know exactly about the individual, their aspirations, their desires, their fears, their background. Versus, imagine another organization where we've broken the work into so many small pieces. I get them to join the organization. Someone else manages their promotion. Someone else front ends the relationship with the employees, and someone else takes care of their rewards and recognition. So it is a very broken piece, which was good. The scientific management, so we call it, was good for efficiency of manufacturing lines, I don't think it is equally good for human resources. We should not be swayed away by efficiency. Our measures should be more effective. How do we engage? How do these organizations are where these opportunities are relatively more as compared to some other where it has become very transactional, and that's where that relationship is not there. I'm there because I get paid, and someone else is doing what he or she is doing because she gets paid for that. So then if something else is apparently better, we go there and we do that. We get paid there.
Shijin, then we might want to open up for the audience.
Yes. Now we can open up. Yes. So I think we got a glimpse about Sabih as a person, and the second part of the discussion was about more towards the leadership aspects and the space we all work in. So now the floor is open, and any questions anybody needs to ask, it's open. You can directly ask us. Yeah. Any questions?
Not many.
Hi, Sabih. This is Sarika. Can
Hi,
you hear
Sarika.
me?
I
Hi,
can.
everyone. Okay, yeah. And this is a great opportunity today to connect with you or to listen to you again. So let me tell other of the participants that me and Sabih have worked together in Rockville for
Wow.
yeah, for a year or so. But I didn't. I mean, I was unfortunate not to get many years to work with him, I would say. So 1 year was very less. So what one thing which he was discussing about the leadership quality, which he mentioned strongly about humbleness, that is something I could very well see in those years in Sabih. And one more thing which I would like to mention, which he might not be knowing, as a leader, one thing which he has is a very childlike excitement, for any new project or any new thing, new initiatives which we are doing in the organization. So he's always thrilled, so more than the team. And that gives kind of a lot of encouragement to the team itself, that yes, our boss is like, he's so excited, he has so many ideas. So that basically, I would say, inspires and being a leader, this is a very good quality that, and very important quality that you should be able to inspire people, who are working with you. So I would say that is something I really appreciate and I really look upon, because I worked after Sabih and before Sabih also, I worked with many leaders. But I strongly, I would say that very much influenced, and still that's the reason I'm joining this call today. I'm still very much inspired by him the most, I would say. So that is the greatest quality which Sabih has, that he is able to inspire people around him. And yeah, that's just to add on it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sarika. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarika. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, this is Jenny here. I have a question for Sabih. From a perspective of, today we say that, the IQ of AI is much higher than humans. And as we feed in information, it will keep growing. And where humans today is probably an average IQ of about 100 plus, and AI is say 120, 130, and it has the ability to keep growing that intelligence. Right? And some point of time, probably, do you think, you spoke about AI and you said you've seen many cycles of such, events happening, and you still feel that humans always will be relevant, right? Because of the emotions, we say that probably because we can understand the emotions of others and put empathy in the heart of whatever that actions that we do. Sabih, my question is, today, everyone, it's such a competitive world, and we're all focused on, as leaders, especially when you look at leadership and an organization like yours that is so focused in, developing the skills of leaders to lead high performing teams, what do you think could be some of those aspects of leadership in this evolving environment that they need to focus on?
Thank you. And I don't know if I have all the answers. I'm also learning. I'm also figuring it out. but what we've thought as an organization, some of the things that would help us and keep us going in this race is openness to learn, constantly keep learning, keep evolving, keep connecting the dots. You said, I've seen the example that I gave. It is Gen AI is not new. So the IBM Deep Blue played chess with Gary Kasparov. Gary Kasparov, who was the grandmaster, the champion. He was called the champion of champions. He would beat everyone. And Deep Blue challenged Gary Kasparov on chess. Gary Kasparov beat it a couple of times, and it learned. The machine was able to learn. And in 1994, or I think it was 94 or 98, finally, Gary Kasparov was beaten by Deep Blue, and there was a lot of debate that is this the end of human that advantage of being human, or this will we be able to? And then they multiple times fought with the machine, and every time it was able to beat him, till the time that they experimented that people playing with machine together with another machine, they were able to win. And I think that's the game. We will have to learn how do we use this technology, how do we adapt to this technology, how do we make the best of these technologies to be able to to continue being effective. I think at the end of the day, at least as far as we could see it for now, the future of the future of the world still hinges on the very human skills of empathy, of curiosity, of compassion, of justice. This is a very interesting thing. I keep thinking of it and talking about it, is that with all the data that the analytics that the machine can do, it can give you enough to make a decision, to take a judgment, but it still does not have the sense of justice. That is still a very human skill. So I'm thinking, as of now, so far, while the IQ would be higher, but the EQ that we have, and if we continue investing on our EQ and do not start competing, which we were in that rat race, we are in that rat race of trying to compete with the machine in terms of a lot of these analytics and thinking that we were doing, we will lose the race. The machine, we will not be able to, because it definitely will have a better IQ. But what it would not have is the combination of the IQ with the EQ. So their IQ with our EQ will win the game for us. And I think that's what the future is. That's what would be the differentiator for us. And that's what would be the differentiator for leaders of the future, who are able to connect these dots, who are able to leverage it to the advantage of themselves, of their organizations, and of humanity at large. If we will be able to use it, I think we will make it.
Wonderful. Thank you, Sabih. Just a follow-up question, since you spoke about the IQ and the EQ aspect. Yeah. As per you, what is that one leadership skill? Do you think EQ will play a big role in the coming years of leading organizations?
Absolutely. No doubt about it. In fact, I think even more than it has always been relevant, and it was always important to build this quotient for effectively leading and managing. And those who have led ever in the history had a very strong EQ, and all of them and all kinds of leaders, including people like Hitler, their ability to, so they've been all very high on their EQ, and they've been able to influence with that. But it becomes even more relevant in the complex world that we are now dealing with, because, and that's what is apparently, it's the scarcity of it that is causing, and this is my own theory in some ways, that is causing all this polarization that is happening in the world, because the world is getting so interconnected, so influenced. One person has an infection in China and the whole world suffers. One oil rig in the Middle East gets burned, and everything, all the economies of the world have influence. One fire in Australia and the whole flights, and then the economy and everything gets, so the world is getting so interconnected that it is becoming increasingly complex for us to make sense of it all. And what works is, and what is working is simpler humanistic explanations. Unfortunately, at the moment, the world or a lot of places in it is used to polarize, to say, we were all, I mean, when we were growing in our careers, half of our career we saw a lot of it about globalization and one village and one world and etc. Now it's okay, no, our economy, our country, within the country, no, only us. This is all happening because we are not able to explain the complex relationship that we have with all these multiple moving pieces, and it becomes easier to influence using emotions and this. So emotion quotient is becoming even more relevant in countries, in economies, in organizations, in families at the end of. So yeah, I believe it's going to be very, very critical, and understanding own self, and that's what I was sharing. I mean, all our life we spend without really understanding ourselves. What drives me? What are my fears? Why my fears influence my decision making? How does it influence my decision making? Most of us don't realize it all our lives. So it is even more critical for us to understand that.
Very true. Thank you. You know, it just reminded me of something that I read, that a question that was asked to the team members. Like typically, I work in the sales atmosphere, and I'm constantly interacting with my stakeholders and counterparts. One of the trainings, I still remember the question was asked, who was your best manager so far? And answers from the participants, I don't think any of them said, one of the best salespeople or someone who was a taskmaster was the best manager. It was all about the emotional intelligence or emotional quotient of the manager, how much they cared about the team members, how they made them feel. So I totally agree with what you said, Sabih. Thank you so much. Great insight.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Jenny. Any other questions before I hand it over to Sabih for the closing remarks? Any key message you want to drive? Yes, Khalid. Yes.
Good evening, Sabih. How are you?
Very well, thank you.
Yeah, I'm really thankful to you. We had really had a very good session on 5th November. And in continuation of that, I got an opportunity. I got this, you have another session like this. And our student also really learned a lot. The way you explain the humbleness and the values. They gave the example of Vivian Richard and Kirmani. And basically, for this generation, it's very important. We are talking about now AI and that HR will be relevant, or the other this thing, the function will be relevant or not, or what kind of a hurdles we will face in future with the AI. But as you rightly said, and I'm very much basically not convinced, confident that HR will always be relevant. Whatever technologies we have in the next 20 years or even 50 years, HR will always be driving the driving force in any organization. And the person like you will always be a leader of the workforce. I'm really thankful to you for giving me the opportunity to hear you again. and on behalf of Jamia Hamdard also, I'm once again thank you. It was really wonderful session today also. Thank you, Sabih.
Thank you. Thank you. Really appreciate it. Thank you.
Sabih, you told in the beginning how you leave others feel, and in this 45 minutes or 50 minutes, what I saw is that I have seen a couple of the participants coming and recalling their previous experience of you with them. So this is something which I always look upon into leadership, is that it's always said who you are is so loud that I cannot listen what you're saying. But what you have said is something which I'm seeing in the call, that how you have left others feel touched. So having said that, Sabih, what is that, before we leave, what is that one message you would like to share to the participants here from your experience of leading and being an organization, leading there, and all that put together is something I would like give the floor open to you. And this is something that you would like to give by way to the participants.
All right. Yeah, I'm humbled by these facts that
I know.
I was not expecting it on the call, but really appreciate them speaking out and sharing this. I'm just reminded of a small story that I read, so this is what I want, and I think it connects with all that I said so far. So there was this Sufi saint who, in his autobiography, this was the first chapter of that autobiography that he wrote. And what he wrote was that at a very early age, I had the good fortune of being in the company of some great teachers and great thought leaders. And with their blessings and with their advice, very early in my career, I realized that I have a lot to give to this society. I bring a lot of value. I can think very well, and I should be able to give it to the world. And I must. It is my responsibility to give it to the world and make the world a better place. So I started on the endeavor, and I started reaching out to the world to make sure that I leave the world a better place than what I found it to be. After around 30 years of efforts in that direction, I realized now I'm already 50 plus, and I have not been able to change the world the way I would want it to be, and my time is running out. So I must, instead of stretching myself too thin, I must focus on a smaller set of people, so that at least I leave them better than what they are, because I did that for another 30 years, and at 80 I realized that that's also not possible. I've not been able to change the community that I wanted to change. So a few years back, I decided that I will focus only on my students and my immediate family to at least give them all that I know and change them for better. And now I'm writing this book at some 89 or something, and I realized that what a waste. What a waste. The only thing that I could have changed, or that I could have left any better, was myself. And I wasted life changing the world around and thinking and that I know it all and I need to tell it to everyone else. I think the remaining time of my life I'm going to spend on myself and improve myself. So I think that's what my message is. That having said all that I said, don't follow that. Don't listen to that. Focus on yourself. I will do that. I will try and improve myself to be a better person before I go, before I leave the world, and be a better person, more learned, more informed, more aware, more thankful for the opportunity that I've got. So that's what the story is, and that's what my story is. Thank you for inviting me. I enjoyed the conversation. I don't know if it made sense to everyone else, but I thoroughly enjoyed the conversation. I enjoyed your company. Thank you, Santosh. Thank you, Shijin, and everyone.
Thank you.
I continue learning. I look up to all of you to learn a lot more.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Sabih.
Thank you. Thanks.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Thanks a
Bye.
lot.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you, Santosh and Sabir. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.